Hi everyone, it's Tracey here from Art Fiber Stitch, and we're having another look at my Inktense blocks or sticks, and this time we're going to paint on fabric. We're going to color fabric. So last time we did sheer fabrics and laces and things like that and had some really lovely effects. This time I am looking at little samples I have of fabrics, upholstery fabrics. You quite often see something like this for sale in a charity shop or somewhere, but I think they're going to be useful, so that's what I'm having a go at today. So I have my Inktense blocks. They're little sticks of solid dye, like a pastel, but when it's wet, once you've watered it, shall we say, then it will be set. You know, it'll be colour fast. You could even wash it. So you could draw on your clothing, for example. So here's the first one I've gotten out of that lovely sample. And it is a beautiful leaf. Just got the outside edge, of, a bit of shading there. And I thought, okay, I'm going to try and put some colour in it. Almost like an autumn leaf I'd like to make. So I've used my brush and some water, and I've just wet it a bit. Now I'm going to get some colours and try and put it on. See how I'm using this side? That covers more ground and leaves more colour that way. If I wanted to be more precise, I can use the point of it or the edge. See how I'm adding some other colours now? I put in a sort of mulberry colour and now a what would I call it? A terracotta. And then watch the magic when you add the water. I mean, I know I had already watered down there, but I just want to make sure and use my brush to spread it out a bit, make it bleed out into the leaf. So I'm not going to do too much to it, and that's just to show you what it does. So what happens is you draw it on, and then it will get very dark when you wet it, but then when you dry it, it'll come back to being much lighter again. So I'm just trying to do a bit of an edge here because it did bleed out on that edge, and I didn't particularly want it to that much, so I'm just reshaping the edge. So the next phase is it goes away, goes out in the sun or somewhere to dry for a while. And then when it comes back, I'm going to iron it. I don't have to, but I'm going to iron it and look at it and see how it turned out and what I can do with it. This is all just to give me ideas of something I might want to use in the future for sewing or collage. Something nice. Bit of patchwork with that as the center focal point could be nice. And so that's showing you what it looks like. We just added that little blush of color, and I'm quite happy with that. You can see the one on the left where nothing's been added. So yeah, it's got some nice autumn tones. I think we can use that. And there I am using my rag again. You might remember I used the same rag in between all of the lacy ones that I dyed last time. So I use it to wipe up any spills. Now I'm taking off, so these samples, they come like this in a big color range of different fabrics, and you can peel off sometimes easily, sometimes not, but you can peel off the stickers on the back. Now this one has a lovely pattern in it. You probably can't make it out, but there's a nice bird there. Now the outline is in grey, so what I'm really doing is colouring in. I'm colouring in this bird, and it's more like a watercolour effect that we're getting. So I put some blue down on those tail feathers, and I'm just doing the darker blue where the wings meet the body because I figured that would be more intense. And then I'm getting my brush with some water, and I'm using that to spread that around. I'm just using more water on my brush and less of the Inktense on that body. The more water you add, of course, the more diluted it is, and the more pale or pastel, or it's just like a thin veneer over the fabric. So that's what that is there. So I've got my darker tail, and now I'm going to get my, see, I've grabbed a jade color, and I just used the point of it, or the end, and see how I'm just, the lines are already there. You probably can't see it too well, but I'm just following the lines and just getting a few suggestions of those wings. I'll still be able to see that outline later, but this way we're colouring it and we're doing something pretty. I can just imagine this with some nice stitching or something. It'd be really nice. So I don't want to do too much. I did try and do another one, and I actually overdid it, and it all got all muddy, and then I did some more on the top, and you know, that can be a problem, but I'm going to make something out of that other one. I just don't think we'll cover that one today. And see, a little bit of green on his head, and we don't really have to do too much. Let's have a look. See there? This is when it's dry. You can still see the outline, and we've just done a bit of vague shading, a bit of vague colouring in. Now the last one I want to look at is these. It's still upholstery fabric. Sometimes it's shiny, kind of embossed looking, very old-fashioned, but I have an idea that I want to try. So I can use that as it is, but I want to see what happens. I want to see if you can still get that shine through it. So I'm going to peel off some of these ones that I think I can use to experiment on. And I think I'll use the goldy ones and the very pale sage kind of green. There. I'm adding some colour to it. I just want to see what it does. And because they're all patterned and they've got this, like I say, embossed. So here I'm just going to add some water first, because it's a very dry, thick material. I thought I'd get a little bit of water down first. And I'm not wanting to colour the whole thing. I'd like to graduate across into something. And as it has that embossing, like I said, raised areas, and I rub that pastel across, it'll pick up those areas and be darker on those bits. So it'll be interesting what happens. I'm not going to see it properly until it is dry. So I used a little bit of green there because I had started with green. And I might add in some others now. But I'll keep it like this, a sort of, you know, goldy colour and the olivey green, and we'll see. I don't want to colour it too much. I just want to see if we can start getting some sort of variation in there. And like I said, it would be completely different when it's dry. But let's try like 3 of these and see what happens on the different fabrics. So I'm going straight in with my dye stick this time. I haven't wet it first. And I'm just doing little patches of different colours. See how that one's a rosy pink colour and a brown colour, and just ones that, you know, might be interesting if we can see little bits of it. But I also want to be able to use it maybe with a little bit of that one above, maybe with the bits that are already there that are uncoloured, and see if the whole thing could come together. So using my brush is one way to get water on it and to make it then waterproof it like the colour won't run. Because once it's dry, it's sorted. But you could also use a spray bottle, or you can wet it first. There's so many ways to do it. Sometimes I like to use the paintbrush, wet paintbrush, on the actual dye stick. Rub it along as if you would it on a watercolour block. And then use that as paint. It's just so handy because I don't have to fuss with making a lot of dyes. This is so much easier. The other thing you should remember to use that I forgot to mention was plastic underneath it or something, so that your colours aren't going to go through and stain your table or whatever you have underneath. Alright, we'll see what happens with that one. And now this stripe. Oh, can you just see a lounge suite covered in that? Like I say, very old-fashioned, but I want to see if we can turn it into something completely different. And I'm not going to do too much. See what I'm using? I'm using the side of the dye stick. See, and I'm just, sometimes I'll use a different part of the stick to create a thinner line or a fatter line, or I'll go over it twice because I want it to be more vibrant. And I like to use colours that complement what's already there. So it's going to be interesting when we get the whole lot done and we see, you know, does it suggest something to us? Well, most things do, so be ready for some sewing projects with these. I like to always use colours that are darker and lighter and brighter. All different, but toning in. So I'm going in with some brown now, or some darker green, things like that too. But I also want to leave bits of that, the plain, showing through. And I don't know, we'll see what we get. 'Tis a lot of fun though. Right, we'll put it aside to dry and we'll have a look. See how dark it is there? You really can't tell with that wet fabric on this one. But look at that. Can you see those beautiful colours that have come up? And you can still see the shiny bits shining through in places. I quite like it. So, yeah. Oh, and there's our stripy one. Very nice. Yeah, that little bit of variation there. I think we can use that. Much better than it was plain anyway. Particularly interesting here when you see, you know, those embossing bits, the bits that are sticking up. So I've done something similar on the green and on that goldy coloured one. And it really has produced a different colour, but toning. I am pleased with this. In the goldy tones that we're getting in there. Very nice. So that's it. I hope you can find some things that you might like to try out, because it really does add to your fabric stash to just have those coloured pieces in there, just the colour that you want. So thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you.